Luzon, the Philippines. January 1945. Rain falls like machine gun fire on palm leaves. The air hums with insects, sweat, and gun oil. Beneath a thick green canopy, a Japanese sergeant named Hideo Takashima smirks as he wipes mud from his Arisaka rifle. Around him, his squad murmurs with quiet confidence. They've heard the Americans are bringing tanks. Shermans, one soldier laughs. Too big for the jungle. They'll sink before they even see us. They aren't wrong to think it. The Pacific has swallowed machines whole. Roads vanish under vines, rivers turn to traps, and cliffs crumble under the weight of armor. For years, Japanese infantry ruled these jungles, their bunkers invisible, their artillery hidden among roots and shadows. The 706th Tank Battalion is about to challenge all that. From the edge of the tree line, Lieutenant Robert W. Porter peers through binoculars, rain streaking down the lenses. Before him lies a maze of enemy fortifications, pillboxes built from coral, concrete, and the bones of earlier battles. Porter's orders are clear: break through. No one says it out loud, but every man knows what's at stake. The infantry needs armor support to advance inland. Without tanks, they'll be cut apart by machine guns and mortars hidden in the ridges. But if the Shermans fail here, command will never risk armor again in these jungles. The engines rumble to life. 6 M4A3 Shermans lurch forward, their tracks clawing through the muck. Each one weighs over 30 tons, and the ground shakes under their advance. From the Japanese lines, the sound echoes like thunder, an unnatural roar rolling through the forest. Takashima squints through the rain. The laughter fades. He hears the clatter of metal on roots, the hiss of steam from exhaust ports, the dull rhythm of steel on earth. Then, through the smoke, the tanks appear. Not stuck, not sinking, not burning. Rolling. A shell slams into a Sherman's side armor, a plume of dust, a dull clang, but the tank keeps coming. Machine guns chatter. The jungle explodes in muzzle flashes. Palm trees splinter. The smell of gunpowder mixes with wet soil. Inside the lead tank, Sergeant James Red Miller grips the controls, sweat running down his neck. Hold steady, he growls to his gunner. Target that pillbox, right flank. A flash. The 75mm cannon roars. The pillbox erupts in fire and debris. The crew cheers, but Porter doesn't. He knows they're just getting started. Ahead lie miles of ridges, each one dug deep with hidden guns. And the Japanese haven't begun their counterattack. He lowers the binoculars. Keep moving, he says quietly. Behind the next ridge, Takashima tightens his grip on his rifle. The ground is trembling again. This time, it's not laughter he feels. It's fear. The Sherman tracks grind against stone and roots, cutting scars through the jungle floor. Each foot forward feels like defiance. The 706th Tank Battalion pushes deeper into the Luzon interior, the canopy swallowing them whole. It's dark now, not night, but the kind of green twilight that makes it impossible to tell where the ground ends and the trees begin. From hidden trenches, Japanese soldiers watch. Lieutenant Kenji Ogawa, commander of a small anti-tank squad, raises a hand. His men grip their Type 97 grenade launchers and wait for the signal. The air smells of diesel and rain. Now, he whispers. A grenade arcs through the air, a perfect throw. It strikes the Sherman's rear armor with a sharp clang. For a heartbeat, nothing. Then, a dull thud, harmless. Inside the tank, Private Harris flinches. That all you got? Miller laughs, slamming the hatch shut. Drive. The Sherman roars forward. Its machine gun opens fire, tearing through the undergrowth. Leaves explode. Ogawa's men scatter, vanishing into smoke. But the jungle isn't done. Mines wait beneath the mud. Sharp bamboo stakes pierce through the waterlogged ground. The tanks move carefully now, crawling rather than charging. Each inch is bought with time and nerves. Porter's radio crackles. We've got resistance on the left ridge. Heavy small arms fire. He replies calmly, bring in the flamethrowers. A few moments later, The smell changes, from gunpowder to burning wood, from wet jungle to hell. A Marine with a flamethrower steps from behind the tanks, his weapon hissing like a beast. He sweeps the ridge with fire, clearing the bunkers one by one. The Japanese fight to the last man. Takashima's squad fires, until their barrels glow. But the tanks don't stop. They don't break. And that's when the realization begins to set in. For years, the Japanese command had mocked American armor, calling the Sherman a weakling, a rolling coffin, a toy for European roads. They believed the Pacific's terrain was their ally, that no tank could breathe in the jungle's humidity and mud. Now they watch those same toys climb hills they swore were impassable. From his trench, Takashima sees something he's never seen before. A Sherman covered in vines and mud, its hull streaked with rain, pressing forward like a living thing. Each shell it fires knocks apart months of Japanese fortification work. The ground shakes again, but it's not the sound that frightens him. It's the silence that follows each explosion. One bunker gone, then another, then another. He whispers, impossible. But impossibility has just become real. Still, the jungle fights on. And so will he. By dawn, the jungle has turned to smoke. Trees stand like blackened skeletons, the ground churned into a swamp of roots and metal. The Shermans form a line across what was once a Japanese defensive ridge. Sergeant Miller leans out of his hatch, scanning the horizon. He's been awake for 30 hours, his hands trembling from caffeine and adrenaline. "We hold here," he says, voice cracking. "Refuel when it's clear." Below, American infantry moves in behind them, mud-caked Marines stepping over destroyed pillboxes. The scene is surreal. Half tank battle, half ghost story. Lieutenant Porter crouches beside one of the wrecked bunkers. Inside, 2 Japanese soldiers lie still beside a Type 1 machine gun. On the wall, scratched in charcoal, a phrase, "Tanks cannot survive here." He stares at it for a long moment. "Tell that to the Shermans," he mutters. A radio transmission cuts through the static. Enemy counterattack expected, 2 platoons advancing from the East Ridge. Porter stands, shouting to Miller's crew. "Button up! Get those guns ready!" Moments later, the ridge erupts again. Mortars, small arms fire, shouts echoing through the fog. The Japanese are coming back, desperate, reckless, charging through smoke with bayonets drawn. The Shermans rotate their turrets. The jungle becomes a thunderstorm of sound. 75mm shells tear through trees and men alike. Machine guns trace arcs of glowing brass. The Americans can barely see their targets, only flashes of movement, shapes between the leaves. Miller's tank takes a direct hit from an anti-tank gun. The blast dents the armor, rattles every bolt, fills the cabin with dust. "Status," he yells. "Armor's holding!" His gunner shouts back. "Turret's jammed, but we're good." Miller exhales. Good enough. He fires again. The gun roars, the jungle flashes white, and the enemy gun goes silent. When the smoke clears, what's left of the counterattack drifts away into the trees. Silence returns, but not peace. Porter climbs atop Miller's tank, mud dripping from his boots. "You just made believers out of everyone watching," he says quietly. Miller nods, staring at the horizon. "Doesn't feel like victory." Porter glances toward the tree line, where faint movement flickers, retreating shapes, carrying wounded men. The jungle is reclaiming its own. He lowers his voice. "It's not victory yet. But it's the moment they realize the jungle isn't theirs anymore." Somewhere beyond those trees, Sergeant Takashima limps through the mud, gripping his rifle like a lifeline. His ears still ring from the thunder of the tank guns. He looks back once, at the crushed bunkers, at the hulking silhouettes of the Shermans still moving through smoke, and for the first time, the thought hits him fully. The Empire's faith in the jungle has been broken. And the Americans, they've just found a way to make the impossible move. But the cost is still coming. Night falls heavy over Luzon. The rain has stopped, but the jungle still drips, every leaf releasing what it held during the storm. The air smells of diesel, cordite, and rot. The men of the 706th Tank Battalion sit beside their machines, silent except for the soft ticking of cooling engines. Flashlights flicker under tarps as mechanics patch armor plates with scavenged steel. The Shermans, once factory new in Detroit, now look alive, scarred, and breathing in the steam. Lieutenant Porter writes in his field notebook, "We advanced 4 miles today. Lost 2 tanks. No retreat. Jungle impassable. But not for us." He closes the book and looks up at the dark outline of the mountains. Somewhere up there, more Japanese defenses wait. For the enemy, those defenses are shrinking every day. Across the ridge, Sergeant Takashima and what's left of his unit huddle in a ruined bunker. Their ammunition is low, morale lower. One man mutters, "We can't stop them. The tanks go anywhere." Takashima doesn't answer. He just stares at his mud-caked hands. He remembers laughing once when the Americans first landed. He remembers the commander's speech, "No tank can live in our jungles." But the jungle has betrayed them. He hears it again, faint at first, then growing. The low, guttural rumble of engines somewhere beyond the trees. He knows the sound now. It's not thunder. It's not distant artillery. It's that same machine that crawled through their traps and trenches like a beast of iron and patience. The Shermans. He feels the vibration in the ground, subtle but steady. Each second louder, closer. Takashima looks at his men. "Fall back to the river," he says quietly. "We can't fight them head-on." But part of him knows there's nowhere left to run. For the Americans, dawn brings another push. Miller's crew moves first, their tank's headlight beams cutting through the mist. The forest feels haunted now, every step forward revealing relics of war, from burned-out guns to shattered helmets. "Feels wrong," Harris whispers from inside the tank, "like we're driving through someone's grave." Miller doesn't reply. He just keeps the tank rolling. By noon, they reach the river, the same place Takashima's men hoped to regroup. But the Japanese are gone, their bunkers abandoned, weapons scattered. The tanks have broken the line completely. Porter dismounts and steps into the shallow water. "They thought we couldn't make it here," he says softly. "Now look." Behind him, the Shermans stand like monuments, engines idling, smoke drifting up into the canopy. That night, as he writes another entry, he pauses. He thinks of the laughter he heard over intercepted radio transmissions just days ago. Japanese voices mocking the Shermans, joking about metal elephants sinking in the swamp. He smiles, just once, and writes, "The elephants made it through." Far away, in a bunker carved into the hillside, Takashima sits alone, listening to the distant sound of American artillery. He knows the truth now, not just about the tanks, but about the war itself. Germany is falling. The skies belong to the Allies. The Pacific, once Japan's fortress, is shrinking island by island. And here, in this jungle, a machine built in America's factories has just shattered the myth of Japanese invincibility. He bows his head, whispering into the damp air. "We laughed, and now we burn." The rain starts again. It hides his tears. February 1945, Luzon. Morning mist rolls through the valleys as if the jungle itself is exhaling. The battle is over, at least for today. Smoke drifts from broken trees, and the silence feels wrong after so many days of thunder. The 706th Tank Battalion moves slowly now, their tracks carving through the same ground that had been their enemy. Tank crews wave to infantry units marching alongside them. Everyone's faces are pale, eyes hollow. Victory feels heavy here. Sergeant Miller leans out of his hatch and looks at the scars on his Sherman's hull. Dents, scorch marks, bullet impacts like constellations. "She's ugly," he says, half smiling, "but she's still breathing." "Met is so fine, tough. Met a Dane. But she's still breathing." Private Harris grins back. "So are we, Sarge." They laugh quietly. The kind of laugh men use when they're too tired to celebrate. A few miles away, Lieutenant Porter stands on a ridge overlooking the valley. From up here, he can see the pattern of the fight, black craters marking Japanese positions, tracks leading up to shattered bunkers. What once looked like impenetrable jungle now looks almost civilized, carved open by human will and machines that refuse to quit. A correspondent from Life magazine snaps a photo. Porter standing beside a Sherman caked in mud, smoke behind him, eyes unreadable. That image will one day appear in newspapers across America under the headline, "Shermans in the Jungle." But the photo won't capture everything. Not the smell of diesel on rain. Not the fear. Not the faces of the men who never made it past the tree line. Still, it will say one thing clearly. The myth of American weakness in the Pacific has been buried here. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ridge, Japanese survivors retreat deeper into the interior. Takashima limps along a narrow path, his uniform torn, his rifle useless. Around him, the once proud platoon is reduced to shadows. They move silently, no commands, no songs, no boasts. Every man lost something here. Faith, comrades, or the illusion of control. When they finally stop to rest, Takashima looks back through the trees. He sees faint movement in the distance, another Sherman crossing the ridge, sunlight glinting off its turret like a signal from another world. He whispers, almost to himself, "The war has changed." Because it had. The Pacific Campaign was no longer a battle of terrain. It was a battle of endurance, of industry, of will. The Sherman wasn't just a tank. It was proof that America could turn its factories into weapons of inevitability. And for the men who fought here, it was proof that courage wasn't about never fearing. It was about moving forward through that fear, one muddy track at a time. As dusk falls, Porter gathers his men. "This isn't the end," he tells them. "But it's the start of something bigger. We showed them the jungle doesn't choose sides." The camera pans out, tanks idling, soldiers walking through the fog, the sound of engines fading into the night. And above the noise, Porter's voice carries softly. "Sometimes, the thing they mock is the thing that ends their war."